what's up, everybody? My name is Gabe, and I want to say welcome to LifeMission Church. It is so good to be with you guys today. And hey, whether you're joining us online, whether you're at home, whether you're on the mountains, that'd be kind of cool, or in space. If you're in space, you got to give me like a high or something. That'd be pretty cool. Like, have you heard like these, like, they just like sent somebody up to space? Like, seriously, did you see that on the news? Like, anyway, I think that'd be cool if you're watching from space. We got people from Kansas, Ottawa, Olathe, all over. I want to say welcome. I'm glad that you are here with us. And man, we've got something good in store for you. But I want to talk to my fourth and fifth graders. Hey, if you are just now entering fourth and fifth grade, this is just for you. Coming up Friday, August 27th is our next Squad 45. And that is going to be at our Olathe campus from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. You do not want to miss it. If you are in fourth or fifth grade, that's you. Make sure that you're there for Squad 45. And also tell your parents, because we have our Parent Connect, that we've got something for mom and dad, even grandma, your cousin Ray Ray. Like, cousin Ray Ray still hasn't returned my controller. What? I won't. Yeah, I don't need to talk about it. Okay. All right. Anyway, if you see cousin Ray Ray, tell him to return my controller. I know it's hard to play with two players if you only have one controller. I know, but okay. So you don't want to miss Squad 45 coming up Friday, August 27th. So it's like coming up. So that'd be this Friday. So coming up this Friday, Squad 45 at the Olathe campus. Do not miss it. Make sure that you're there. And my question for you, I always got a question for you, is have you started school yet? And if so, what's your favorite class? And what's the most interesting thing that's happened to you so far, even if you started school in just this last few weeks or so? Okay, so we talked about a lot of different ways that they can record sound, and maybe, it's talking about a sound mind. But as I think about it, your mind, your brain is really interesting. And is there some things that check this out, that the human brain weighs about 3 pounds. Did you know that? That's kind of interesting. Wow. And if you compare our brain of similar size to other mammals, our brain is over 3 times larger. It's kind of pretty big. Oh, and that the brain is in constant use and needs about 20% of the energy needed to be going. That means like your brain's always going. Huh, that's interesting. Oh, and listen to this. Your information in your brain travels up to an impressive 268 miles per hour. Have you ever gone that fast? I don't think I ever have. When a neuron, that's some scientific thing, is stimulated, it generates an electrical impulse that travels. That's like how fast it travels. That's pretty cool. Oh, and listen to this. The human brain can generate about 23 watts of power, enough to power a light bulb. All those power cells need a lot of rest. That's why, for your brain to work well, you really need to get to sleep. I'm gonna go take a nap. Okay, so there's a lot of interesting things you can hear when it comes to the brain, and there's just a few of them. But I want you to remember our memory verse. It's 2 Timothy 1:7. We've been talking about different parts of it. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. And we've talked about fear, we've talked about power, and we've talked about love. But I want to talk to you about a sound mind. And we talked about what does a sound mind mean to you. And if you look in the Bible even more, sometimes it uses the word self-control. Now, when you think of self-control, what are some things that maybe you have control over? Like a remote control car, do you have one of those? Or maybe it's a video game controller. You have one of those. Or if you have a pet, you can control them by giving them a treat and they can do certain things. There are ways that things can be controlled. And are there things maybe that you are controlled by? Maybe there's things that if you do this or you do that, maybe you feel like you're controlled because of that. See, the thing I want you to remember is this, is that when it talks about self-control. Yeah, we can have a controller, we can play games that has a controller or a remote control car that's controlled. But what are some things that you deal with that are controlled? Are there things that you control? That's one question. And the other question is what are some things that you want to control? And when you hear the word control, what do you think of? Now, I'll be the first one to admit, there's lots of things that I like to control. How many of you, if you have siblings or your parents, you might be looking, you're like, hey, I have the remote control. I want to watch this or I want to watch that. Like you really want to have control of the remote control. But what we're talking about is self-control. And how can we have self-control in our life? And just like it says in our memory verse, 2 Timothy 1:7, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind, or self-control. And we think about that self-control. I realize that, yeah, there's lots of things that I want to control, and we talked about that. But yet the thing that we really have power of, and maybe your parents have told you this as well, is that you really can control yourself. But what do you think about? What goes into your mind? I could tell you about me that there's lots of things that I think about. And there's lots of things that enter my mind, and truthfully, there's some things that enter my mind that I wish they wouldn't enter my mind. And I wish I wouldn't think about those. And I wish I wouldn't try to have those control me. So if I look at that verse, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, we talked about that, and love, we talked about that, and a sound mind or self-control, is that we know that we can have self-control through God, and that God has given us that. But how? Have you ever asked that question, how? That's a good question, how? But how do we get that? Check this out. If we want to have a sound mind, and we want to have that self-control, we need to make sure that even though we want to have control, we actually need to give that control up. And we need to not try to control our life ourselves. Oh yeah, I got it, and I'm going to do it this way, and I'm going to do it that way, because this is what I want to do. And as much as self-control we think we can do, it's actually better when we give that control up. When we give that control up to God, when we lean on the Spirit of God, when we lean on the Holy Spirit, and we say, you know what, I can't do it myself. I know that I sure have. I've tried to do it myself. I've tried to take it back, and I'm like, I got control. I got it. And just like when I think I'm going to try to get to a whole new level in a game, well, I sure can't control it. Because I then all of a sudden realize that when I try to control things, well, I'm now controlled by fear, or I'm controlled by not knowing things and trying to trust different things when I'm trying to do it on my own. When I can actually give up the control, that's the best way. For remember, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind, self-control. And the best way for us to get self-control over our life, maybe it's about what you're thinking. Maybe it's about what you say. Maybe it's about self-control of how you respond to your parents. Maybe it's self-control of how you respond to your siblings or your neighbors or those around you. I know that all of those that I've had to work on those in my life. But the best thing that I can do is, instead of me trying to control that, is that I can lean on God. I can lean not on my own understanding. A Bible verse that we had a while back is trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. Well, I know that in all my ways, if I can give up that self-control, because remember, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind / self-control. And if I want self-control in those areas, I know that I need to give that control up. I need to put that controller there. And as much as you might try to play a game, and have you ever played a game and put the controller down and you think, oh no, what's going to happen? Well, this is the case where you can put the controller down and know that things will actually be better. Things would actually be in a better control, because they're not under our control, but they're under God's control. So I challenge you with this. What is it that you want to ask God to help you with? What is it that you want God to help you with control? Because we know that we don't have fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind that God has given us. Like I said, maybe it's in how we talk, what we think about, how we treat our siblings, our parents, those around us. Maybe it's something else that I haven't mentioned. But if there's an area in your life that you can admit that you need to give up that control, go to God. Give him that control. And let's just see how well you don't have that spirit of fear, but we have power and love and a sound mind.